Welcome back again to Lutherans Alive with today Pastor Blair Morgan, Director for Evangelical Mission here in the Southwestern Pennsylvania Synod. Blair, a really helpful segment, the last one, to be able to envision a bit what might go on with a congregation that would be on the verge of looking at a new way of seeing their existence in their community and in their life together. That you were telling me during the break, that's just one approach or one of the tools, so to speak, that might be available in your toolbox to work with people. What are some of the other things that folks might be interested to know are available?
Some of the things that have been offered either locally or through the ELCA, one is something called Transformational Ministry. And this has been an emphasis across the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America to try and take congregations who have come to a point where they're willing to consider change. And that's a hard thing. I mean, congregations can feel like they'd like to see things be better, but a lot of times they can't bring themselves to be different. As long as we can keep being what we are and have it kind of improve, that would be fine. But to begin to think about how we might look at our experience and how we might break it down and see how we might better do mission and be willing to change in whatever way the Lord might lead in the midst of a process to work through, that's hard. But for congregations and pastors that are willing to take that risk, there is a process called Transformational Ministry where congregations can be led through a process to challenge all their preconceived notions about what's going on in their congregations and what's going on in their community, and to really take seriously a willingness to change. We have something called Missional Leaders for Missional Churches, which is something new that the ELCA did as a pilot program that we want to continue to work on together in our region, Region 8, which is pretty much most of Pennsylvania, a little bit of West Virginia and Western Maryland. And actually the region does go down into Washington, D.C. and Delaware and Maryland. The idea is, as pastors, there are so many things we're trained at in seminary. But leadership and mission isn't necessarily one of those things. And that's like even a challenge for seminaries. It's like every 5 years, now we want you to do all the things you are doing, but can you also do, can you add this into what we need pastors to be? And it's kind of overwhelming sometimes what the church needs pastors to be. But Missional Leaders for Missional Church is an idea of bringing pastors together to look at the whole idea of how we can better lead congregations in mission and let them work together in groups or cadres of a few different pastors to kind of work on that. We have Natural Church Development is another resource that we can work with congregations on that helps them take a look at 8 characteristics that have been useful in strengthening mission and having vital congregations across the world, and we can help congregations take a look and evaluate those 8 characteristics. I don't know how much more time we have as far as how many more of those I need to list, but that's the kind of thing that's available along the way. There are others. There's some planning resources that are available along the way, and some communication resources we call healthy congregations, where people can work with congregations to help them strengthen their communication if there's some conflict going on. And so all of those different things are things I can help congregations to be connected to.
I think that's encouraging to hear that there are a variety of approaches, because as we know, no two congregations are exactly alike. Whether the pastoral leadership is very different, or whether the lay leadership in a congregation might be new and therefore looking for new ideas, or well established and therefore having, as you say, a more difficult time moving from the traditional way of looking at things or doing things. And again, smaller congregations, of course, will have a very different dynamic than larger, more well-established congregations as well. In terms of how you're getting the word out to people, obviously we've got you here on Lutherans Alive today, and we're happy to do that. We know that you were introduced at the last Synod Assembly, which also helps get your face out there with folks. What are some of the other things that you're able to do at this point to promote what you have available and how we can encourage congregations to take advantage of some of those things.
We're working on trying to get a better visibility on the Synod website. As I come up with ideas, our assistant to the bishop, Pastor Sandy Kessinger, is always willing to kind of put the next piece in there and make that available. And so that is one of the things, as I work with the outreach committee around all of these things and looking at these tools, that'll be one of the things we'll be looking to try and do. My office is at these Synod offices, and so calling that number and asking for me, I'd be glad to have that conversation. Something else that is important too is I've kind of emphasized congregations that are challenged in mission, but really I serve 201, whatever the congregation situation. If they're looking for a way in stewardship or mission to have a conversation and a need to talk, I'm open to any that might like to do that.
In terms of getting your feet on the ground and getting started, I'm assuming there's space at the Synod office, so you have a place that you can call home base and to work from. Are there a lot of opportunities? Are you already being approached by a number of congregations?
Yes.
Are there folks that seem ready and willing to take advantage of the kinds of things that will really make this happen?
There are. I think in part, pastors are aware of my presence, and having been in the Synod for the last 19 years, know me and feel comfortable in giving me a call and saying, here, you got your new thing. Is this something we could do together? And so we'll sit down and have a conversation, and those have been generated. Since it's the fall and there is interest in the stewardship hat that I wear, because often congregations are emphasizing that in the fall. I've had invitations for Sunday morning preaching opportunities along the way, or even teaching opportunities along the way.
So you are available on a Sunday to be a presence?
Absolutely, absolutely, and look forward to that. Yeah. And we've been going around to different clusters along the way, and of pastors that gather, some weekly, some monthly, for fellowship and learning and just kind of connecting in and learning from that what's going on there and being available, and some relationships have started that way as well.
If one of our viewers out there today happens to be a member of a Lutheran church and is sparked by some of the conversation we've been having, what would you suggest for the average layperson as a way to maybe make that interest known, or to try to light a fire in their local circumstances?
I would say a key conversation first is with your own pastor. That is always a good place to start, and together. But it is, if they want to call and just talk to me and talk about that, that's fine too. So I'm open to those conversations, however they arise, but it is important for us to do some planning about mission. I've always liked that phrase that says, if you aim at nothing, you're likely to hit it. And so
well said.
That I think is something we need to work with, is do some better planning around this.
Well, we've come actually to the end of our time for today's program, but we really appreciate you taking the time to give us some of the insights and some of the new exciting opportunities that are available with this position. We wish you God's blessings and much success. Thank you for being with us today on Lutherans Alive. We hope you've enjoyed this opportunity to meet Pastor Morgan and to get some insight into some of the unique possibilities that are now available here in our Synod. Until next time, this is Lutherans Alive. Good day, and God bless you.